Okay, so as it happens, I never ended up posting my April wrap up, and since I only read 3 books in May, I decided to combine them into a hopefully not too long video. I haven't edited it yet, so. Hi guys, welcome to my very late April wrap up. I should have posted this 6 days ago, but I'm only just filming it. I just can't get over the fact that April's already ended. Time is going by so fast, it's actually terrifying. It needs to slow down, please. Where is it going? But I read 9 books this month, last month, and I actually loved all of them. They were all really good books. So let's get into it. First book that I read this month is The Queen of the Tearling and The Invasion of the Tearling. That's the second book. I have yet to read the last book in the series, but I will get around to it. This book follows our main character, Kelsey. She is like the heir to the throne, but she was like hidden away as soon as she was born, and she's trying to get back to power. This woman, Kelsey, she's the definition of gaslight gatekeep girl boss. I always see her as like a very similar character to Jude from The Cruel Prince. That's actually the reason why I read this book. I literally googled like books similar to The Cruel Prince, and this book came up, so I read it. But this book, it has no fandom. And that is so upsetting. I know it's like not a recently released book, but it should have a fandom because it's such a good series. It's very similar to Game of Thrones, at least that's what I was told by Google. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones, but it's similar to Game of Thrones apparently. It's a fantasy dystopia, and we basically see Kelsey kind of, fight for her power. The villains are this other country called Mort Mesney. Yeah, Tear is the country that she's ruling, and the other country is Mort Mesney. And the evil queen of Mort Mesney, I think she's the Red Queen, or is the evil queen? I don't know. She has established like a slave trade in like this country, the Tear country. And first order of business, that was actually the best thing. And our main character Kelsey, she's like literally like, I am not going to be ruling under the thumb of this evil queen anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. And she does all of this, and obviously like her actions have consequences, but also like she can deal with the consequences. She can literally do anything. She's actually like such a crazy person, and I love her so much. Very interested to see where her character goes. Like at the beginning of the book, I was not really interested because she literally felt like a child. This character literally felt like a child. Didn't really have like any sort of thing except doing what was right, which is like a strong personality trait to do what is right. But she was doing it so much with no care of the consequences that I was actually scared. You know that she can literally handle anything. The character building in this was so good. Like, oh, I love Kelsey. Read this book. The next book that I read this month is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but it wasn't that good, you know? And I think the main reason for this is because it's no longer told in Avery's perspective. If you've read the original Inheritance Game series, it's about Avery, who's just this random girl who's inheriting billions from this random dude that no one knows about, and she has to live with like the 4 grandsons. And this book is from the perspective of 2 of the grandsons, Jameson and Grayson, and the both of them are like navigating their own life problems. Now that we are like in Grayson and Jameson's perspective, I really feel like their problems are so like not my problem, because what are they? In the end, what are they? They're rich white men. The author is just milking the series now, especially with like a 5th and a 6th book on the way. We don't need that many books. The final gambit was a good enough conclusion. We really did not need this book. It was alright, I guess. There was loads of drama. There was actually a lot of drama. And I like the concept of it, but like at the end of the day, I was literally not entertained, because at the end of the day, these are not my problems. These could never be my problems. At least in Avery's perspective, she is just an outsider. She is just like one of us. If the author is going to carry on with like the Inheritance Games 5 and 6, then she should put them back in Avery's perspective, because right now, the next book that I read was the first Percy Jackson book. I read The Lightning Thief, mainly because I wanted to watch the Disney Plus show, but I also wanted to read the book first. So I read The Lightning Thief, and it was really good. The writing was way too simple for me, but is that really their fault? It's literally a book for like a younger audience. That being said though, it was so entertaining. I wish I read this when I was younger. I would have loved it so much. I mean, I still did, but I really wish I read it when I was younger. As someone who was like a die-hard Harry Potter fan, I wish someone introduced me to Percy Jackson. Oh well, it's never too late. It's never too late, guys. I'm assuming everyone knows what Percy Jackson is about. It's about this 12-year-old who finds out he's the son of a Greek god and he goes on a quest. I also read The Bad Reputation Duet by Kristen Becker-Ritchie. Can you tell I miss the Addicted Calloway Sisters world so much that I had to pick up Willow and Garrison's story as well. They were a couple that were like heavily hinted at during the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. This book series is basically like, again, like, I feel like it's about rich people and their problems could never be our problems. But at least in this one, because they do feel so human, like all of these characters, they feel so human. It doesn't matter if they're like rich people that we'll never relate to because we love them so much. But these two books, it follows Willow, who is Lauren Hale's little sister, and Garrison, who is like the neighborhood bad boy. It's very much good girl, bad boy romance, and it was done so well. It's like a dual timeline and dual perspective. So we see them when they're much younger, when they're like 16, 17, when they're first meeting and they're first working together and they're first like becoming friends, their first kiss, their first time, their first everything. But then also we have the other timeline where they're like together except they're in a long distance relationship because Willow has gone to London, we love London, to a university in London. We see their like long distance relationship and how they're struggling so much and yet they would literally do anything for each other. Out of like all 4 love stories from like the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, this one is definitely like the most realistic. Like we love Daisy and Reich and we love Connor and Rose and we all love Lily and Lo, but realistically Willow and Garrison's story was probably the most like realistic, but I love them so much. They're so cute together. I look forward to reading the Like Us series this month. I also finally finished Foul Lady Fortune. God, I've been reading this book for so long. It's not even like it's a bad book. I just keep getting sidetracked. I genuinely thought I'd like DNF it, but also like the first half of this book was so slow. I was so bored that whole time, but in like the second half, it was actually getting somewhere. I actually, you know, became engaged with these characters with this book and I finally finished it. This book follows our main character, Rosalind Lang, who was a side character in the These Violent Lights book. She is immortal because she got injected with some kind of Captain America super serum, I don't know, and she cannot die. That's the premise of this book. From the events of like the previous 2 books, which I'm not going to spoil, she has a lot of like inner turmoil. She really wants to do something for her country, so she's working as a spy, hence the name Fortune. Her code name is Fortune. She gets put on this mission with another spy named Orion, and they both have to work together to figure out these chemical killings that have been happening in the city. This book, it doesn't hit the same as These Violent Lights, Our Violent Ends. The last book that I read, the last book series that I read this month, The Remnant Chronicles, I think they're called, but I read The Kiss of Deception, The Heart of Betrayal, The Beauty of Darkness. They were definitely like a book series like that wasn't that great, but I actually like loved every second of it. Our main character, again, she's like a strong female character. Actually, her character development was actually what I loved about this book. Like at the beginning, I did not like her. She really just like up and left her wedding. That's what this book is about actually. She gets arranged marriage to this prince of another kingdom. She herself is a princess, by the way. Princess Leah. Well, her name's like Arabella something Giselia, but she likes to be called Leah, and she gets arranged marriage to the prince of like another country. So she runs away, obviously, as you do if you get arranged marriage. Who does she find along the way? She finds the prince that she just ran away from and an assassin sent to kill her. Obviously, she doesn't know that they're that, and even like the 2 of the guys, they don't know that like the other is a prince and the other is an assassin. Only like the 2 of them know that she is the princess. The thing that drew me into this book was the fact that you don't know which one's the prince and which one's the assassin. Like genuinely in the first book, you have no idea who is the good guy or who is the bad guy or like who's the assassin, who's the prince. It's just like written that way, and she does it. Mary E. Pearson, she does it so well. It's actually crazy. When like we finally found out who's who, I was sitting there like, did I read that right? You just need to trust the process in this one. But also our main character, Leah, she got so much character development. I hated her at the beginning. She really just felt like a little girl running away, destroying like a centuries old little artifact just for herself. I don't know, she just felt like stuck up. But after a while, by the time we get to the end of the first book, she is a powerful person, I can tell you that. I have no idea what happened in the other two books, except for the fact that she did not end up with who I wanted her to end up with. I'm not going to say who I wanted her to end up with because that would be spoilers. That's all the books that I read last month. I read quite a few actually. I read 9 books. That's crazy. I doubt I'd be able to read that many this month. This is my May wrap-up. I only read 3 books this month, just because of exams and revision and stuff. So, first book that I read this month was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I don't know how I feel about this book. Like, I liked it in a way, but then also I disliked it so much because, yeah, I'm gonna discuss this book in a separate video, like heavily discuss it, which I'm not going to say too much, except it's a fantasy book and it follows our main character. Actually, it's dual POV. It follows Peyton Gray and Kai Azer. Kai is the prince, the evil prince actually, and Peyton is just like this thief living in the slums. She obviously runs into the prince and saves his life. It's very much like a copy of the Hunger Games. Like, I want to say, like, she gets drafted into these like trials with the prince, and everyone has these magical abilities except for Peyton. That puts her in a lot of danger. I don't know how I feel about this. Again, like, I want to discuss it more heavily in a separate video. The next book that I read was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, I think. Again, I'm gonna discuss this separately in the same video as Powerless, but this book, just like, the plot was so dry. This book follows Nathan and Anastasia. Anastasia is a figure skater and Nathan is a ice hockey player. They start out on bad terms but eventually fall in love. Like, that's what it follows, but like the plot of this book is genuinely like so boring. I struggled to, I mean, it was like a good read, like it was like a nice romance, but still it was so like boring. Like, why was it one of the most boring things I've ever read? The last book that I read was The Shining by Stephen King, which I did love. I love this book. I've been DNFing this book for so long just because I keep getting distracted by other books, and then I keep remembering that, oh, I'm reading The Shining, and then I come back to it and then I read like 100 pages straight. But I actually finished it on a video, my last video actually. It was so good. It's crazy. Like, there is a reason why this is one of the greatest horror books of all time. Why Stephen King is one of the greatest horror authors of all time. This book is based around a hotel, a haunted hotel. Jack Torrance is the new caretaker for the hotel over the winter when it's closed. He and his entire family, which is just his wife and his son, they move into the hotel. His son is like really sensitive to like ghosts and stuff, and like that is not good. This is not a good environment for it to be in. And obviously the hotel starts playing tricks on the entire family to the point where something really, really bad happens. You just have to read it. Like, it's such a good, like, suspenseful book. It has you on your toes the whole time you're reading it. You're just like wondering. But yeah, that's all the books I read in April and May. If you have any book recommendations, just let me know. So yeah, goodbye.